Hey everyone, welcome to the Growing with Fishes podcast. I'm Steve.
I'm Marty.
I'm Roger Latewood.
I'm Hogmaster.
And there's Fish Ganja Guy just logged in.
There's Fish Ganja Guy. And today
we party can start. Right on time.
Just in time, right as we went live. And we also have with us today Joe Pate, who's from University of Kentucky, Kentucky University, State University. Correct me on that.
Kentucky State University, right?
Kentucky State University, correct?
Is that an ag university?
You there, Joe?
Joe, you're muted, bud.
Did we lose him?
Can't hear you, Joe.
Joe, or is that an agriculture university?
Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Hey,
There we go.
Oh, sorry about that.
Kentucky State.
Yeah, it is an agriculture university. Yeah. And when we started talking a little bit more about the project and stuff, I was going to give a little background on the university, or I can do it now. Either way.
Awesome.
Do it in your own time.
Shout out to it.
Yeah, well, we'll get to that in 1 second. Just wanted to say a shout out to Ouroboros Farms. If you guys are looking to take any aquaponics classes, be sure to check out Ouroboros Farms. They have the commercial class this weekend. And then next weekend, we have the aquaponic cannabis class. Marty and I will also be doing that class online. There's information in the video description if you guys are interested in taking the online class, so you can definitely check that out. Marty and I will both be teaching that class. But if you want to come take it in person, you can come take it at Ouroboros. Alrighty, thanks. I just want to get that out of the way, and thanks a lot for Joe to reaching out. Joe actually wrote me the other day, and reaching out about them over at Kentucky State University. They're working on I have a nice little hemp program working on researching aquaponics, and he reached out to me for some info, and I thought, hey man, let's get you on the show. It sounds like you're doing some really awesome research that might is very much up the alley of this show. So I really appreciate him taking the time to reach out to us and to come on the show today. So thanks a lot, Joe, and why don't you take the floor, buddy?
All right, no problem. I'm glad to be here. So a little bit about Kentucky State University. We were founded in 1887, and then in 1889 or in 1890, we became a land grant university, which was as part of the Morrill Act, where the federal government donated some land to the state so that they could build universities that were focused on agriculture, military, engineering, and just those kind of focuses. And since then, we have started the Division of Aquaculture in in the 1980s, but it was focused on research and extension. And then in the 1999, they started classes for the aquaculture division. So the aquaponics is really just like a small part of really what we do there. And then I work within the Division of Aquaculture, and there's a lot of really cool stuff going on there. We have all different types of stuff, from fish nutrition to genetics work to breeding and reproduction methods, as well as looking at production for saltwater species like Pacific white shrimp and landlocked states like Kentucky. So you're able to produce fresh aquaculture that you wouldn't be able to otherwise. It's one of the top 5 aquaculture schools in the United States. So that's pretty cool. And then I work in the coolest part of it, of course, which is the aquaponics. Yeah.
Very nice.
Not only that, you guys are doing hemp research in aquaponics, which is even cooler.
Yeah, we just started that. This is the first trial with it. It is actually in partnership with another part of our college, which is the Environmental Studies Division and the College of Agriculture. For the last 2 years, they've been doing research on growing hemp for mostly fiber production in fields in Kentucky. Just because there's a lot of interest in finding new species of plants that they can cultivate instead of tobacco. just because a lot of tobacco farms are now, just going under. There's not a big interest in the tobacco industry anymore. So they've been doing a lot of research in the field, and then a graduate student, Rose Johnson, she actually is the master's student running this thesis project, and then we are in partnership with her, and we're running it through our aquaponics setup there in the division of aquaculture. So I can tell you a little bit about our systems, or
why don't you tell us a little bit about the experiment and the kind of setups you guys have and how you guys have it set up, and it sounds really interesting.
So we have 6 recirculating 400-gallon systems. They're all replicates. We have about we have 2 grow beds in each system that are 1.35 meters. So that's for a total of like 2.7 meters squared for grow space for the entire system. And right now we're doing the hemp in there. What we've done is converted 3 of those systems into soil beds and stocked them with 18 holes per bed, or 18 plants per bed. And we're running we actually have 24 of these LED lights. They are Illumitex brand, 1,000 watt, or they're 540 watt, but they replaced a 1,000 watt. But those guys are pretty cool. We just got those in and put up over the plants. And right now we're about 6 weeks into it, and we just began sexing out some of the plants. So that was pretty interesting. Getting to learn how to do that. And that was cool. I got probably, yeah. Definitely. It was really cool because that was, being the first time in Kentucky, cannabis isn't legal there, so we're growing hemp. So it was really cool for the first time to be able to really see that in person, and be able to take part in taking out the males and just giving love to the females and stuff like that.
Caring for the hair.
But it's going pretty good so far. It's in kind of the beginning works, so until the research is finished, we won't really know the results. But as far as the aquaponics side of things go, we are growing them in deep water culture, in raft systems, which I know isn't really ideal, or as part of the industry goes, and the aquaponics cannabis growing webpage here. But we just kind of had to start somewhere with it. But yeah, do y'all have any questions, or?
Well, in your deep water culture, how do you have them set? You said they're just in raft systems, so are you just most of the plant is submerged in water full time?
Yeah, they are submerged full time. They're just like the UVI system. So they're on floating rafts, and they're spaced at 18 plants per 1.35 meters squared. And the roots are directly in the water. There's no gap for air or anything like that.
Mm-hmm. You guys run quite a bit of air in the tank then?
We are running air in the tank, yeah. And of course, we have about 2 air stones per bed, but we are beginning to see problems with pythium and root rot in the plants.
We use the raft system down here a lot in the hydroponic houses. That's for lettuce and cabbage production. They're like 4x4, 8x8 styrofoam sheets with that fit a 2-inch net pot into it, and then you grow it. Yeah. All right, go ahead.
Oh no, that's the same exact setup.
Yeah. Okay. So that's what we. So I didn't have much more to say than that. I was just trying to clarify that to Marty and everybody out there. It's your typical floating raft that you see in deep water culture hydroponic greenhouses, where the whole there's like a pond. The whole thing's like a swimming pool, and they start them on one end and keep pushing them down to the other end, harvest on the other end. It'd be different with hemp. I don't see that as a good way to grow hemp. I can see why you might experiment that way, but it'd be. You have to hang it. You have to hang it vertically, right, in order to support it coming out of there, right?
Yeah, we are adding supports to it. And yeah, it was really just a starting place, just because the floating rafts are the most researched in aquaponics in terms of production wise, but they are mostly used for smaller rooting crops like lettuces, Swiss chard, more of your veggies and greens, opposed to something with like a bigger root system like tomatoes or cucumbers or hemp or cannabis.
Sure.
For sure.
So what are you guys planning on doing about your root rot issues then?
So we turned up the air in the system as of right now. We're kind of limited in like what we can add, just in terms of, if we're looking at certain result, or just certain things coming out of it, if we start tweaking and add a whole bunch of stuff and kind of mess up the results, so we can't like say, oh, this did that, or it also had these other effects or whatnot.
Right, you have to do one at a time and see what
exactly happens. Yeah. So depending on how this result the results of this research will just really lead to more questions and lead to more research. It's kind of just like an opening door into farther research in aquaponics and hemp, and just kind of tweaking out all the little things as it goes, and kind of keeping up with the commercial side of things too, just because there is that race between what's going on the commercial side of things and out in the industry, and then what's actually being researched and has like proof and evidence behind it.
Are you supplementing your fish waste in your deep water rafts system? Is that where you're having this root rot? Is that being supplemented at all, or is it just the fish waste? Where are you at with that? With your amendments or supplementing the solution?
Can we take 2 seconds and figure out whose audio has the cricket?
My mic has been muted, so it ain't me.
I know it's not Fish Conja guy. How about Joe?
Marty's guilty over there.
Somebody.
It might be
me.
I live in a swamp, and I got.
Oh, it's Hogmaster. Yeah. Okay. There we go. All
I was muted for a while. I was like, maybe there's a cricket in here. Like I didn't know.
Yeah, I'm staying at a place in the redwoods, so I thought it was here. So somebody pointed out that it was coming in on the audio.
Well, I love the background, so I figured it would fit in for the show.
Well, yeah, let's mute the cricket. Cool. Go ahead. I didn't mean to interrupt.
Oh no, you're fine. Where were we at?
I asked you about what are you doing with your solution? Are you supplementing? What are you doing in this? Because you had the root rot and all. So
yeah. So like I said, we're not really adding any types of chemicals or anything to help with root rot at this point. The only thing we are basing our systems with are potassium hydroxide and calcium carbonate. So and then later on, we'll add some phosphorus into the system for fruiting. But we aren't adding.
Helps with root rot a little bit.
What is it? What is it?
Yeah, silica too.
Yeah, the silica too. Yeah. And like I said, we can't really add a lot of stuff this beginning stage. It's really more of like a door opening opportunity. And then like future studies would look at adding, silica or silicon to the system in order to, prevent root rot or, build, just stronger plant, in general, or just other types of things.
So you're saying you're stuck in this regimen for the entire grow?
Pretty much. Yeah.
Really data, by changing it would foul the data for you have this case study.
Exactly.
And next time you'll try to add something to keep it from having root rot. Is that
exactly? Yep, exactly.
Okay, that makes sense. Okay.
So turning up the air though, you think turning up the air just wasn't that big a deal? Is that you guys decided?
Well, I turned up the air just to help it a little bit. It's running about 7 milligrams per liter is the dissolved oxygen. But honestly, I just think they're too wet. And then also they're in rock wool. So I think the rock wool is causing some damage with the roots, just being constantly soaked. That is, causing some issues, rotting the roots out there, making them more susceptible to getting, Pythium and whatever their disease is in there.
I can tell you, ever since I introduced labs to my systems, I haven't had any issues with it, and so I really feel like that's because it's, I guess, naturally thrives in anaerobic zones, so it'll survive in aerobic zones long enough to find anaerobic zones in your system and then dominate them, and that's the areas in which you're generating that. So that's my kind of my theory on why, but I haven't had a single plant develop root rot since I've started, probably once a week dosing labs to my system, which is technically just, you could just add microbes, which wouldn't really change your nutrient levels. So I'm not really sure if that's like something you guys are open to, or maybe even like you could add in your future study if you wanted to, because you can't make that from milk or even goat's milk or a number of different sources. So you might want to check into that as something that you could do to treat it as well.
Yeah. So those labs are probiotic, right? That's short for probiotic.
So it's lactobacillus basically is
lactobacillus. Okay. Yeah, we actually ran some other studies looking at probiotics in the system, but they were for more human pathogens, looking at potential human pathogens in the system, just because most of our research, is based in like food production, because that's, what we're doing right now. Right. But we looked at using the pediococcus. There was a Bacillus subtilis and then Lactobacillus acidiophilus or phallus. If I'm pronouncing it right. Yeah, that. And so we didn't see any, but we did with lettuce, so it definitely a shorting growing time. And we weren't really looking for Pythium, but we did see that it definitely increased the growth of the fish. It significantly increased the growth of the fish, which was pretty cool result.
That is really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I actually feed some EM1 Bokashi bran in with my fish food. So basically I just throw in the bran at the same time I throw in the fish food, and it clumps up on top and they just eat it just like anything else. And I've noticed that my fish have been a lot healthier ever since then too. And so ever since I've added that, basically EM1 Bokashi brand, it's like a rice brand that's been inoculated with lactobacillus. So you can check that out. If you're using the Bokashi brand though, instead of just making the labs yourself, so if you make your own labs, you can have basically no content to it whatsoever. You can just separate the serum itself, which is what develops between the curd and the separated water at the bottom. So there would be like a layer of oil in between, and if you extract that, it's basically just a microbial sample that then you can add into your system without adding anything else that should affect your levels. So you might want to check that out.
Yeah, definitely. Letting nature handle things the way it should, right? Aquaponic them bad bacteria, just definitely good practice, I would say.
For sure. Steve, have you you said you dose silica or anything else? Have you been adding labs to your systems recently, right? Did we lose Steve?
I'm here. I'm just having a little bit of lag.
Okay. Did you hear my question?
What's that?
Did you hear my question?
Yeah, I crashed twice, by the way.
Oh, welcome back, Roger. Steve, I asked you if you've been adding labs to your system. I knew you've been making some recently, but I wasn't sure.
Yeah, I've added some labs. I've added some labs to both the water and to the plants, and I found a ton of, I do labs a little bit differently because I'm depending more on some of the proteins that we're breaking down with the lactobacillus. But yeah, I haven't had any fungal issues since I started dosing labs. But I also have been dosing silica pretty heavy since then, so,
So that's kind of what makes lactose such a versatile microbe, is that it can survive both anaerobic and aerobic zones. It prefers anaerobic and reproduces best in anaerobic. So that's why I feel like in aquaponics, it can definitely be a great way to allow them to just sort of search and destroy any of that stuff. And if you keep it in your system, it stays really clean and really helps break down the solids as well. You know, I'm not running any solids filter on any of my 4 small systems, and and I haven't cleaned out my beds in going on 2 years now. So I would expect to have done it by now, based on the first year that I ran the system without adding labs to it. I've dug out a couple areas like in the springtime and stuff. After winter, I dug out a bunch of the plants and stuff that had survived winter and just replaced them because they bolted and a bunch of other stuff. But when I dug it out, I was kind of checking to see what the solids were like, and I checked in a few places in the bed after that too. It's just extremely broken down. And really the only thing majorly different that I've been doing is adding fruit ferments and the lacto, and that's pretty much the only difference in my regimen. So and I do all my fruit ferments with lacto, so pretty much attribute it to that. The presence of that helps break it down, those solids.
Yeah, that sounds awesome. Sounds like a good research project. Sure.
I'll add that to my 3rd job. We'll just fire that up.
Well, you guys are saying that you guys are thinking about doing a silica study.
Yeah. So that's what I was actually kind of interested in running for my thesis project. After we finished with this one, was looking at using potassium silicate in the system and just how it affects the plant of the growth of the plant, which I assume it will, just based on evidence that has been shown in multiple plant species, from small leafy greens all the way up to like rice and more of your agro crops. Just having a significant increase in growth, significant increase in chlorophyll within the plant itself, a stronger epidural layer, so it protects against insects, and then also helps it again would help beef up the roots, so then make them be able to fend for themselves, so to say, against potential pathogens in the system, like pythium or something like that getting into the roots. So there's just a lot of really good evidence that would support the claim that the potassium silicate would help growth in hemp, for sure.
Cool. Yeah, I think that'd be a great project. And we've talked about it a lot too, and even the people that use it a lot, I I do horsetail.
I've been banned from forums because of that argument.
That it works.
Yeah, and so I think that even us people that use it a lot don't really know what the full value of it is. Like what, how much can you do?
Yeah, they still don't really have a real good understanding.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Too little, and it doesn't do much, too much, and then you're just wasting it. So, finding that medium spot where the plants love it best is, what you got to do.
Right. Or not kill the fish, which I don't know if you could with a silica or not, but I've done a lot of horsetail fern fermenting for my silica, and I've dosed a lot of it, and I will say there's probably a plateau. Like, I think you're right, at some point you're wasting it, but I don't think I ever saw any negative effects of it, like maybe a raise in pH, but a lot of times you're looking for that anyway.
Yeah.
In the summertime, not so much here because my well water is pretty high, so when I'm topping off, I'm pretty much just adding in enough calcium carbonate because I'm adding water often enough. So I don't have to worry about it too much in the summertime, but in the wintertime, for sure, you're looking for that boost because your microbial activity slows down, and you're not evaporating off as much water, so you're not topping off as much water. It'll go weeks without filling up tanks, as opposed to the summertime. The outdoor tanks need water like every couple of days.
I'll try moving, see if that helps.
It won't help, Steve. You'll still have to mute. So what would you say is the coolest thing that you have grown in aquaponics there at the university system? Like, or like growth that surprised you? What plant surprised you?
Hands down, aloe vera. Yeah,
Really?
it grows like crazy, and you wouldn't expect it because it's a succulent.
Right.
But I've been working in the aquaponics division, or part of the college, for about 3 years now, and we've had this one aloe plant that has reproduced insanely, like covered up an entire 1.35 meter bed full of big 8-inch blade sprout. Eventually they grow up into like 8-inch blades, and tons of them, and I harvest them out. I think I got 15 small ones, I got like 10 mediums, and then like 5 really huge ones from that. And then it's filled up the bed again, and then it's filled up another bed that I planted a few more up, and those beds are all in flood and drain systems with expanded clay, but just filled them up, and it just grows like crazy. It's so thick and juicy, it's insane.
Oh, that's cool. I'm gonna have to try that out now. But,
Yeah, it's cool for sure. And you wouldn't expect it because succulents don't really like water. But even I've done them in the deep water culture, and they still love it. So I think it's not so much they don't like the water; they just get like suffocated.
Right.
So if you have that oxygen in there, they don't care, and they're just able to suck up all the nutrients they want.
I think it's more about they don't need water, not that they don't like water. I think when they get water, being a succulent, they're going to suck it up and get giant. That's what a monster plant, like you're giving it superfood. It does. They're not, they go,
Yeah, that's what it does for sure.
Yeah.
Do you run the aloe? Do you run that in a flood and drain, or is that in a raft?
That's in a flood and drain system.
Yeah.
And then that.
How cool.
The gas exchange helps out a shit ton.
Yeah, I would. Yeah, pulling in all that fresh oxygen in there.
And I like you're using expanded clay, you said, and that's one of my favorite. I love expanded clay systems. That works really well.
Yeah, it definitely works well. It kind of can get expensive, So like being able to like plant in buckets is. I have half the system that's filled up with expanded clay, and then the other half that's like set with like a covering on it that has little holes drilled into it, so I can just like set little 4-inch pots or 9-inch pots with expanded clay. And that way, I like that personally better, just because once the plant gets a little bit bigger and it's time to harvest, you can just pull out that pot, clean any solids on there, and clean the expanded clay, and you don't have to worry about those build up from the solids.
Right.
Which sounds like Marty's doing it right if he doesn't have any solids in his.
I mean, you definitely still get some, but it doesn't build up in the same way, like it's
it's a lot smaller and broke down, you said.
Yeah, before that it would pack down into the bottom, and you would get like a like a cake layer that would form at the bottom, and eventually I would have to basically empty out the beds and chunk out that stuff in the bottom. Even when it's wet, it's still like just thick, it's just thick poop, right?
Yeah.
And but and I expected that in my systems this year when I went out to clean them out, and there was some solids in there when I first put in there, and I just threw a whole bunch of bokashi brine in there and turned them over, and then just let them sit for about, I don't know, it was probably like maybe a week or so, and I went back out there and I had a Scooby in my fish tank. You know what a Scooby is? From bacteria and yeast forming together. They'll make this little symbiote, like it looks like a mushroom head that floats in the water. And they what is it, when you're making kombucha, that's what forms on the top. It's like a bacteria colony that's a little self-sustaining, and it floats. And I had one floating in my fish tank because I put so much bran in there that the yeast had released. I think I sent you a picture of it, didn't I, Steve?
Yeah, isn't that called kefir?
Kefir. No, I think
something like that.
Kombucha, I think, is also, because I have a cousin who makes a ton of kombucha, and they were like, I know exactly what it is, and that's how I figured it out. And so yeah, I don't know, but I do think they make water kefir with it as well, which is I think a similar process. But I've never done either one of those things, so I'm not really sure. But I do know it's from because when I looked it up, it's from the yeast that was released, bokashi bran, that I put in there at the same time, because the rice bran combined with all the bacteria and breaking down all those solids, that they just went crazy. And my water got extremely clear, like crystal clear, like see the bottom, like it was pretty awesome. and turned over the beds and relatively clear. And so that's I started adding to my beds all the time, and I cleaned out my front porch system just like maybe a month ago to replant it for summertime stuff. So a lot of lettuce and stuff bolts here when it gets too hot. So I have to replace it with like shard and stuff that won't bolt and will still go through the summertime. So when I pulled all that stuff out, all the roots were nice and white and clear. There's some solids floating on the bottom, but like no cake level, none of that stuff. It was all free floating solids, and everything else was getting broken down really nice. So I'm gonna keep doing it, see how it goes.
That's awesome.
And actually, if you guys are looking to learn more about ferments, we're gonna have Alan from Grokashi will be on the show here before, or Bukashi, or what's his exact company name? I think it's Grokashi, isn't it?
He's from Grokashi, yeah. I've been
Grokashi,
asking
that's
him for a while. I've been active on in their group for quite a while and messaged him back and forth about earth boxes. I plug his stuff all the time, and so hopefully we're hoping to get him on the next couple weeks. What's that?
That you should get sponsored by him, man. You talk about him all the time. It's like, man.
I know.
you.
Brought to you by Carl's
for
Jr.
me, because I can just send somebody to a product that I know like really works, especially people that are like, oh, I don't have room to do an aquaponic system. You know, I don't know how to do an aquaponic system, but I still want to grow quality stuff. Okay, well, here's an easy way to do that. You order this for $100, put water in it, done. You know what I mean? Like when it runs out of water, put more water in it, but everything else just comes mixed and ready to go. So for me, it's always a nice way to just put noobs on some good, or people that don't have experience growing and all of a sudden need to. Like I talk to a lot of cancer patients that message me. They're like, or family members of cancer patients are like, I need to grow meds now. And I'm like, well, first of all, you can't grow meds now. It's going to be a little bit. So, but here's what you do first, and having something that you know is going to be relatively rock solid for a newbie to be able to just put some plants in, put some water in it, and not really have to worry about mixing up a bunch of nutrients. It's pretty awesome. So it's basically $100 per earth box. And
actually, Marty, I heard about an automated aquaponic grow box system recently that you should.
It's only $2,000 per plant. You should maybe check it out if you want to spend a lot of money.
I thought it was only 1,000.
No, I don't know. I'm not going to talk about it.
Act now and get 50% off. But wait, there's more.
Right. Yeah. So, I definitely think that $100 per plant is a little bit more reasonable. And so you get a tent, you get some boxes, you get a basic grow light, you can grow indoors. Or you get your boxes, you set them outside if you have a place to let you do that. Unlike my house, grow it outside, no problem. $100 per plant, get some quality meds. It might take you a little while to grow them. Have to buy some in between, but at least you know they're going to get quality inputs. It's going to be closed, so they essentially can't fuck it up. Just add water. It's pretty easy.
So, Steve, is there any questions from the chat for Joe tonight? Yeah, do we have a few people there? What's going on?
Oh yeah, chat.
So we had is there a difference between the different EM1s? We'll get to that later in the show. None yet for him specifically. So what other types of aquaponic tests have you guys run so far?
So when I started there about 3 years ago, they had already done a few on looking at different light technologies. So and then I helped out on some studies there at the end when I first came in, looking at comparing LED, metal halide, fluorescent, and induction lighting for several different plants. So we did romaine, bib, Swiss chard, kale, and collard greens. And we saw similar results between all the plants. The LEDs, of course, outproduced them. They just, grew significantly more biomass than any of the other lights.
What light schedule are you guys using?
Right now, for our hemp, we're doing 18 hours on, and we standardize our lights to 230 par or ppfd, which it gives us a daily light integral of 22. I don't know what kind of measurements you all use to measure your lights or any of that.
It's
Usually
constantly evolving.
Usually PAR and PPFD.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I know a lot of like people at home, use foot candles and stuff like that, but they're not scientifically as sound.
I was going to say candlelight for grow light is kind of comical.
Yeah. But yeah.
Grow. It's gonna be epic.
Yeah. What was it? I don't even know if a candle even puts out enough light. It's funny if you ever look at like a equivalent, it's like 140 incandescent bulbs for a 400-watt HAD or something like that. I have it's in one of my slides. It's pretty comical.
Way too many.
That's a fire.
Yeah, for real. The heat from that would be ridiculous. So I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. You said you're doing a test with lighting technologies?
Yeah. Most of that work's pretty much finished now. Since then, we've did a few tests looking at how UV light treatment for different potential human pathogens in the water. So primarily, we're looking at Listeria, E. coli, Salmonella, and Vibrio. And we kind of looked just to see how the UV light would affect that. And with that study, what we saw is that there was no significant difference between the treatments, but we believe that was due to the fact that the iron that we use is like a chelated DTPH iron. So what that does is it'll fall out of solution inside of the UV light and block the transmittance. And even if it doesn't fall out of solution, it will block the transmittance of it just being in the water of the UV light. So it basically rendered it ineffective. But some good news from that study we were at Pool is that we didn't find any potential human pathogens in the aquaponics of any of the ones we looked for. So that was good.
Yeah,
Awesome.
the other issue I saw when we ran this was on I forget, was it 3? These are around 500, 600 gallon systems. When we ran UV sterilizers on them that were scaled right, they would end up stripping down the iron and the boron and the manganese.
Yeah, and cause it to fall out.
Yeah, and cause it to fall out, break the chelation on it, and cause it to. And the iron ended up coating the quartz sleeves. I'm assuming that's what you're referring to. And ours ended up just coating it, and then after a while, the UV just wasn't doing anything, just like you were saying.
Yep. Yeah, because the same thing with us, causing the iron to fall out of the solution as well. So we are always having to add a lot more to those systems. And then after that, we ran our study looking at the probiotics and how they would affect, again, those human pathogens, the E. coli, specifically the O1H57, and then the Vibrio and Listeria and Salmonella. And again, we didn't see any significant difference in terms of like plant growth or anything like that. And we also didn't see any harmful bacteria in either of the systems, but we did see a significant increase in the growth of the fish, which we believe was probably attributed to the probiotics building up a healthy system within the gut of the fish and allow them to absorb nutrients better through their feed.
Yeah, I really do think that aquaponics simply has too much biodiversity, and it makes it really hard for particularly certain pathogens that end up being human transmissible to get established. University of Hawaii actually has the longest running study on plant pathogens in aquaponics, and they found I don't think they've ever had a tissue sample from plants or fish test positive, not from anything they published anyway. And that was with the intentional introduction of certain pathogens.
Oh, that's awesome. And see, and that's important information, for the food industry, but just in general for people at home, everywhere, to know that aquaponics does produce a safe product, even though it is in close relation with the effluent water from the fish.
For sure.
Yeah.
And you can breed specific microbes if you want to, and just help dominate all those areas as well. Because
Yeah.
a lot of times you're
I'll compete them.
developing anaerobic areas, so helps out.
That's what I find fascinating, is how you can supplement it that way, all biologically, and organically, through the labs and stuff like that. It's really neat.
Yeah, you're out competing them basically. You're taking
That's
all their resources and squeezing them out. And, some of them, will just eat them. So it's kind of depends, but for the most part, you're any way you can dominate them works. So outcompete them and take over the environment, and like Steve was talking about, the diversity in the microbial life just doesn't allow them to survive.
Mhm.
So what other things do you test for? Do you want to talk a little bit about? You said you had a pretty cool machine for testing the plants while they're growing.
Yeah, which that was for a preliminary study we ran a little while ago, looking at the effects of potassium silicate on lettuce growth. And it was a pretty cool machine. It was, I believe, the LI Core 9000 or something like that. But what it did was it had this little chamber that you would press down on top of the leaf, and it would measure the amount of CO2 going in and the amount of CO2 going out. And it would, of this little chamber that was around the leaf, and basically it would tell you your photosynthesis of the plant in real time. And it gave you all types of other cool factors, like the how big the pores were open, the vacuoles and everything were open on the plant, and, just a bunch of really cool information. And basically, how you would do it is you would just set the temperature that's inside the box and make the environment just equal to what the environment is outside the box. So you'd balance out the humidity, the temperature, and then the amount of CO2 within the thing with what was equivalent to outside the chamber. But yeah, it was a really cool device. And hopefully if we are able to do the potassium silicate study with hemp, we'll use it again on that and be able to get even more data, just as how the potassium silicate affects hemp in different stages,
I'd love to see that on a labs test.
On a labs test, that'd be good.
Yeah, with the lactobacillus stuff.
Yeah.
Well, you mentioned that you guys track plant growth with some probiotics, right?
Yeah, we looked at that one in our study with the human pathogens and adding the probiotics. So we ran it again with lettuce. So it was they have a 3-week grow out for harvest, and we did it through 2 grow out periods. And we didn't see any significant growth in the plants between the treatments through the labs or the other 2. But that also there might have been stuff we also weren't looking for, like the pythium. We didn't necessarily measure. We measured the weight of the roots, of course, the dry weight of the roots and the plants. But looking at how were the roots looking,
right,
in general,
root health or structure, type of
yeah, exactly. There's a lot of other factors that might be able to give you even more in-depth look at how that plant is actually doing, even if it's stuff we can't see. Well,
also, if you didn't have any root rot, that's something, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and there was no significant difference between the roots either. So so I just we didn't have any root rot though in the other system. If say you were to introduce a heavy load of pythium or something, or how would it affect treating that? I'm not sure. Anything like that.
Just out of curiosity, how many people are in the program that you're in? That you work
so
with?
For the division aquaculture, there is 22 grad students. But for the aquaponics part, it is just myself, my boss, Janelle Hager, and then my coworker, Zach Perry. That are doing the systems right now. Before then, we've had a few other grad students. Charlie Schultz actually designed our systems here at the college and got his master's from the university. And then after him, worked with like Luke Oliver, is another guy who helped out or he did his thesis on the comparing light technologies in aquaponics.
Cool. We've had
So a pretty small group over the year for sure. Over the years for sure.
Yeah, Charlie is a friend of the show. We've had him on the show before.
Yeah, great dude for sure.
That's awesome that it's that small and you're that into the entire system. That's great that there's not several hands inside of it, so you're able to see exactly what's going on. That's very cool that you're able to have that opportunity
not just
through
observing.
the university.
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah, it's awesome. You know, my work isn't work at all. It's fun. You know, I mean, half the time I'm there 3-4 hours after work's over, and I'm just fucking hanging out with the, you know, the plants and just like checking the system. You know, just being there. You know, because what's better than being around a bunch of plants and fish, right?
Exactly.
But yeah, it really is awesome, and it's a great opportunity. And they're actually developing a aquaponics course that will launch in the fall. Yeah, which will be pretty cool. It'll be an online course that you know people can take from anywhere in the world. And there's several others. We actually offer like an online certificate degree in aquaculture. So if anyone is interested in like, you know, aquaculture in general, you know, whether that be aquaponics or just all the other cool things going on in aquaculture, whether it's working with Pacific white shrimp or prawn or, you know, koi or, you know, any of these different species, working with nutrition, genetics work, any of that stuff, it's definitely a really good checkout to look at. Because they have a lot of cool opportunities, for sure.
Because there's not a lot of courses like that available. So, in fact, I haven't heard of very many at all. I mean, as far as with a university backing it, so that's pretty incredible. From what, because I know in our, you know, Clemson, and you know they're just now getting in. I mean, they really don't know a lot about hydroponics. I don't know where they're at. We don't get to talk to them much about what they are doing, but whenever I've talked with them, I kind of told them more about hydroponics than they knew. But now they've been doing fertigation, which I'm sure you're familiar with. But you know, your university probably does something with that too. So that's basically a hydroponic method, somewhat, but it's in soil, so it's different. It's not totally hydroponic. So, but if you're taking a hydroponic, do you know what fertigation is?
Maybe, but not that word for it. Go into depth what it is, please.
Oh well, they're basically they're lining row crops with drip tape and pumping in nutrients.
Oh, hydroponic chemicals, nutrients.
Yeah, nutrients to the root zone. So we call it irrigating with fertilizer.
Let me drain the waste.
Yeah. Okay.
No, well, kind of. Yeah, I guess it is drained to waste, but it's it's a long line. It's not individually.
Yeah. So it'd be an NFT drain to waste.
They call it T-tape. About every 4 inches you have holes.
Yeah, we have. That's actually how when we add nutrients to our soil beds, we do it with the drip tape and let the nutrients dip in. They're hydroponic chemicals, you know, water soluble.
Didn't want to get too far off, but I'm just saying that was great about your university offering an online course for aquaculture. I don't know hardly any different. Maybe somewhere out west, and maybe in Florida, or I don't know where you even go to be able to find that anywhere else.
Yeah, I don't know a lot of other universities, but I do know they have like the most online courses than any other aquaculture school. So that's, you know, a really cool opportunity. I know they've had students come there from like over 53 different countries, whether it's been online or in person coming from. So
that's amazing. That's awesome.
I might sign up just to get the credentials. Shoot.
Yeah, we always have workshops. You know, next time we got one coming up, I'll post it on the webpage. And anyone wants to come down to Kentucky, or like you said, just take the online course or whatever. But the workshops are usually pretty cool. You know, you learn a lot of aquaculture-based information. Not all, some of them, you know, are aquaponics based, but I'm sure most of that stuff you all are pretty well knowledged on anyways.
That's pretty. That is awesome. Where's
Sounds like it's about time for a whiskey run.
I hear you guys have good chicken.
Yeah, good chicken.
You got good whiskey.
Better whiskey. Yeah, better bourbon. Yeah, for sure.
Where's Kansas? No, sorry, no, I almost blew it. Where's Kentucky State located at in the state?
It's in Frankfort, which is the capital of the state, and that's like in between Louisville and Lexington are the two big cities around. Frankfort isn't really that big, but it's just like 30 minutes from Lexington or Louisville, just dead in the middle.
Yeah, went to the Kentucky Horse Farm one time out near there.
Oh yeah, it's a nice place.
The glue factory?
No, it's retired like thoroughbred champions and stuff like that, and then they put on shows with horses from all over the world and all. But it's outside of Lexington. I got to spend some time in Lexington. I love it around. It's beautiful out there. Wow.
The glue factory?
The glue factory. The Kentucky Horse Farm.
Just kidding.
Shout out to all the people at the Horse Farm.
So we had a question from chat. Do you best piece of advice for someone starting out?
Best piece of advice for someone starting up, I would say use goldfish. Feed her goldfish from the pet store. And then other than that, have a ball. You'll kill some. Get some more.
Yes, plan on killing goldfish.
And I would say once you have goldfish for like 6 months, then start considering what kind of fish you want to raise. And understand they're going to be a lot harder than goldfish to keep alive. Let's see. Besides that, I would say get pellet fish food, not flake fish food. Let's see. Use a siphon.
I love it. He says, Scuba Steve in chat says, goldfish, check. Death, check.
Perfect.
Other people in chat said, never grow mint. Like Fish Ganja guy said, never grow mint. Yes, it will take over your whole grow bed. That is true.
I actually let it grow a lot in the wintertime. Put it in my wintertime beds because it'll still grow like crazy and take up nutrients in the wintertime, whereas a lot of other ones, you get too cold for it. So
watercress is another good one for that.
Yeah. So know what seasons still matter. So even if you're growing in aquaponics, like you still can't grow lettuce in the dead of summer. If it's 100 degrees outside, it's still going to bolt. So, just know what you're planting. Maybe start with greens. My favorite thing to start with a new system with is like green onions you get from the store because they already have roots and they're really clean. So you can just chop them off, eat the top, plant the end. It still has roots on it, and it'll take right off and start taking up nutrients right away. So if you're cycling your system and you're like, okay, I'm ready to put in plants, you can do that right away without getting plant starts from a local nursery. And you're like, oh, well, why wouldn't you want to do that? Well, spider mites are everywhere at your local nursery on just about everything. So that's why I say the green onions are good because they've been washed and cleaned and everything is all slicked off of them, and they go into the store. But when you buy them, they still have roots on them. And all you got to do is chop them off. You use the top, replant the rest, and you're good to go. So the green onions you can do that with. You can do that with certain heads of lettuce. Basically, I think the grocery store is a better place to get aquaponic starts than any nursery, just because you'll have far less pest issues.
That's a great idea. I never thought of that, but that's a great idea.
You can still introduce pests, though. That doesn't guarantee it, but yes.
I'm not saying it yet. I'm saying if you go buy strawberries at your local nursery,
it will have spider mites. Yes, strawberries
have spider mites.
Always. You will not buy a started strawberry plant at a nursery that does not have spider mites. They all do.
Plus, like anymore, I won't buy anything within like 5 feet of strawberry plants.
Actually, just buying the spider mites, they give you the strawberries for free.
That's true. Yep. They should give you free predator mites just to kill the mites they give you also. But no, I just don't buy them. Like, that's what I do. So anytime I want to grow something like that, I just grow it from seed anymore. Plus, it's so easy in aquaponics. Like, I just throw my seeds right in the bed, let them sprout. Whatever grows, grows. But if you want to start them, obviously, you just throw them in a paper towel, inside a bag, like a lot of people do, and then transplant them. But anymore, I don't do that at all.
See, and that's great information for anybody, though, that is growing anything, because I had no idea that strawberries contain spider mites. That's absolutely crazy, because that can contain with just about anybody. I mean, if you're throwing that crap in the compost pile and using that for growing, then absolutely, that's great information to have.
So the reason that I think is, if you look at strawberries, first of all, even though they live on them, you don't notice like the white. There's no like white dots or anything that you get on there. Like unless they're so bad that they've developed a spider web, that you could visibly see. It's really hard to tell that they're even on there unless you just look at them and see. But I mean, go to anyone and check, and if you find one that doesn't have them, then great. But everyone I've been to, especially around here, like all down the coast, like I check all the time now. Like when we go down to Humboldt, visit my family down there, same thing. Check the nursery, doesn't matter. Turn over a strawberry plant, look at the bottom of the leaf. You'll see those little guys crawling around there all the time. They're always there.
And strawberries
will go with my scope. I'm gonna have to go with my scope. That is absolutely insane.
Yeah.
Strawberries will tolerate spider mites damage for a long time before they actually will start to show damage. Like they'll be munched. You have quite a large population on them, and it won't really look like it.
Or really even affect the plant that much noticeably. Yep. I mean, it's hard to tell. Like unless I never even thought about it before. Finally I noticed them on some ones that I just put in my system, and I thought, like, oh man, they got on there fast. I went back to the store and I looked at that one. I was like, oh, there's some at the store. Now I know where I got these spider mites from. Then I started looking at the rest of the store. We went around. We go to Lowe's, look at Lowe's. Oh, spider mites. Go to the co-op over here. I'm like, okay. I go to the farmer's market. I'm like, okay, well, maybe the farmer's market, right? Spider. Gotta go over the strawberries. Turn those over. Same thing. Always there. It's weird.
So I have a question for you all.
Give me Steve.
Sure.
So, how do you all? I'm assuming you all do clones, but what type of starting medium do you use?
Rock wool.
You use rock wool?
I use 1.5 rock wool and never have a failure unless I screw it up myself.
For cloning, I just use water. I don't have any. I use little PVC cutouts. I think it's a 1.5 inch or 2 inch PVC cutouts that sit down into a flood and drain bed, and so there's no media inside the PVC cutout, and then I just drop my
like a collar, like a collar.
Yeah, just like a collar.
Yeah, we used to do that too. I used to do aeroponics and do.
Yep. And then I drop in about 5 or so per, and the water comes up to get the bottom of the roots wet, and then drops back down. Gets it wet, drops back down. So they're about that far below the top of the water level in the flood and drain bed. And the rest of the bed outside of the cutout has media in it.
And
so
how far
like rows of
are those roots developed before you transplant it or anything?
I usually catch them pretty quick, so I don't have to pull out too much media. But it's just clay underneath, clay pellets underneath. So sometimes it'll pull some out if I get too lazy with it, and I don't get them out soon enough.
And with the rock wool, once I see a couple of the little roots starting to poke out, I get them into something, either hydroton, put them into. I've been doing a lot of pro mix grows lately, doing some experimentation with some nutrients, different nutrient lines. But I pretty much get them in there. You want to get them in there for the roots turn die. If they get too much air or get light exposure, your fresh, nice roots of your rooted clone will get exposed and die, so you're not off to a real good start. So as soon as I see the roots starting to penetrate the rock wool, I pull off the wrapper and stick it in and put it in a medium up to the top of the cube, and like maybe just lightly cover the top of the cube. I actually don't try to bury the cube too deep because I don't want it to suffocate or get lithium wilt, or what is it? Whatever, when you get the
root rot or whatever.
Root rot.
where the stem breaks, looks real healthy and then it just falls over. Pythium? I don't know.
Yeah, I'd still do it the old-fashioned. I still do it the old hillbilly way with a 3-gallon bucket with a bubbler system, rainwater, with a milk carton on top. Put my clones in it, and in about 3 weeks, man, I got huge roots. I put it in Pro Mix, water it, and I'm good to go.
Cool. So mine goes straight from the flood and drain. I try to catch them early, like he was talking about, before I get too many roots, or it grows down into the hydroton. And then if it latches onto too much, then I have to lift up the whole piece of PVC and try to figure it out so I don't, mess up the root system too much, taking it out. So if I try to catch them earlier, and then I just go right into dual root zone pots. So the bottom will be filled with media, then the separator paper, and then a soil mix on top, and the plant will go in the top, and then I let them grow right down through into the bed. So for the most part, I only have to water them usually about twice, so usually about once every 2 days or so. And then after that, they usually already have roots all the way down through and are getting water from the system, and I just let it go.
Cool. I always do, well, for home stuff, I usually do rock wool. For bigger stuff, I use the Easy Clones, which is just like a mister, fogger, depending on the setup. That sprays the
you put the collars and hang them down at Aquaponics. Is that what that is?
Actually, Fish Ganja Guy did a really cool video on a home one. Do you want to touch on that?
I'm sorry, say that again.
So you did a cool video on a homemade cloner. You want to touch on that?
Which one? The fogger or with the dewy mister or what?
Well, whichever.
Oh my god, so specific.
All the aboves.
All right, so
yeah.
So one of the things that I did was I made a fog cloner with a like a 27-gallon tote. Just cut out some holes on the top that I could put those little neoprene clone holding inserts into, and I just take my cut, put it into the insert, and have the bottom of the cut sticking down into a really thick fog made by the ultrasonic mister. That would aerate and keep the cut moist enough that it wouldn't take up an air embolism. And
that's what I was talking about.
So if you want to get an idea of like how that works, look up Fog Ponics, F-O-G Ponics on Google or on YouTube. You'll find tons of stuff, but I mean, it's great for plant growth. But if you look up Fog Cloner, you're not going to find as much stuff, but it's definitely worth looking into. It's a cool little method.
Yeah, that's what I was talking about, the anabolism that can cause. So in finish, when I was saying, when I put my Rockwool cube in, I don't like to cover the top too much. And also, one of the main concepts I had about that was that cube, as it dries out and the roots go out, is a portal for oxygen, in my opinion, because it really doesn't necessarily get wet the rest of the time, except when you first flood the whole pot, And if you're not using a pot in hydro, unless you're running a drip through it, it dries out. So so I think of it as a portal for oxygen to get to the root zone too. So as not to cover it too much. Anyway.
Cool.
I built one too. I was going to show y'all a picture if I can figure out. I'm going to try to find it. I did a 24-site aero cloner that worked really well, and I got a couple pictures. I'm going to try to share with y'all. So I'll be back, yo. Talk on.
Yeah, I have a friend who made one out of a Folgers coffee can, actually, or not the metal ones, but the plastic ones, and basically just like cut little slits in the top and took darts, just like from a dart gun, and cut the darts, and that styrofoam, is hollow in it, and just cut along that, and you use that around the stems and just set them, push them down through the lid, and then just let fill the inside up with some nutrient solution and let it bubble. And that's what worked real well for him for a little simple one at home.
I think your audio is breaking up a little bit there, man.
Just a little bit. Just for a second there. Yeah, you're for whatever reason you're a little robotic. Maybe unplug and replug in your headset or something. Might fix it.
It's not a router, Steve.
Oh, the audio stuff. When you reset audio stuff, a lot of times it'll fix it.
Is that better?
A little bit, yeah.
No, try unplugging it for 10 seconds and then plug it back.
Awesome. Well, what strains are you guys running? Oh, he's got to reset his mic. We can't hear you. You'll have to go to the gear in the chat thing and set your mic back. You click settings and then there you go. We'll get you back on in a second.
Can you hear me now?
Yep.
Oh, there we go.
Unplug
Third
it.
time. Yeah. But basically all it was a Folgers can that was like a plastic one that had holes cut on top, and then he would take darts and cut the darts and use the styrofoam from them to kind of like support the stems and push them down in there, you know, and then the roots would just be hanging, and then he would have a nutrient solution in the can and just have it bubble up a little air stone for a little homemade one for real cheap, you know, a couple bucks.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've seen a couple of people do that same thing before with the plastic coffee thing before. It works pretty cool.
Yeah.
Awesome. Sorry, Ed, what strains are you running?
So we have two different ones. One of them is this Futura 75, which is a fiber dominant producing hemp strain from France. And then the other one is a Workhorse variety, which is like a hybrid between CBD oil producing and fiber producing hemp strain. And the Futura grows, of course, like more tall and straight up like hemp, and then the Workhorse is a little bit more short and stouty, or it should be at least. We'll see how they turn out.
That's cool. You mentioned that you guys were separating the males from the females, and I know in hemp production you don't always have to. Not everybody does, and you know, and some people even prefer the males. Do you guys have like what are your selection methods that you're going through for your hemp?
So like normally if it's in the field, yeah, they don't even worry about sexing it out or anything like that. But just, you know, just because there's a lot of research on it, we're doing the females. And like I said, it's another lady's study, so she's kind of found research and developed, you know, her methods for why she wanted to run it the way she did. So we're just going through and cutting out the males, and then we'll call them down to where we have about 3 per bed, and then send them into flower in a couple of weeks.
Awesome.
Yeah.
How long? I'm sorry. How long of a veg time are you from start to finish? Are you guys doing?
Until they get big enough. They just started showing their sexes. But a few of them really, it seems like they showed really early, just because they're not very well developed. You know, I think it's just lack of nutrients really being built up in the system is causing just developmental issues. And like I said, we're seeing some issues with Pythium, which I think hurt a few of them right from the start. But we do it. Go ahead.
It's interesting because you don't see Pythium that often in aquaponics.
Yeah, you know, I'm not sure. It definitely came through there and attacked them. Some of them don't have it, but you know, some of them do.
Well, I'm curious.
For sure, I had it on at least. Let's see, on my grape. The first time I tried to grow grape in aquaponics, it got Pythium really bad, and I think the other one was cucumber. I tried to grow lemon cucumber twice. And it got Pythium really bad both times. And now I have both of those things growing in the same bed back there. Right now I have lemon cucumbers. I probably got about maybe 6 of those that are already fruited, are already set fruit and will be ripe in the next few days, and a whole bunch of flowers. And doing great now. So I definitely have seen it a couple of times in aquaponics, and I think it's probably related to solids buildup in a lot of cases, because that's the big difference between what in my systems now is basically the only thing that's different is the amount of solids breakdown I think I have.
Yeah, and then you said you use them labs too, so alkapene them, the harmful bacteria
Yep.
also.
Yeah, for sure. I think those go hand in hand. I think that both of those things, because I think when you get a buildup of solids, it can create spaces that will go anaerobic very easily, and so that's where all that stuff starts. So I think it just goes with dominating those anaerobic zones, now competing any of the bad stuff, whether it's plant pathogens or people pathogens or any of that stuff. So
yeah,
and you don't have to clean up fish poop, so it's like a triple win.
yep.
Hey, Joe, I got a question for you real quick. You may have said it
No.
earlier, but I wasn't listening. Around what pH do you guys keep your water?
Around 7.
So not 5.3?
No.
Okay.
7. What do y'all run yours at?
5.3.
No, he's just joking.
He's joking because the guys we had on, was it last week?
Couple weeks ago.
I blocked it out. I don't know. They were running their commercial, or not commercial, the aquaponics system they were selling all in one for $2,000. The grew one plant, they were recommending pH of 5.3 in their system. So we were in
Who's that?
Yeah, no, not. So it was.
Anyways.
It was alright. So
Fish gotcha guy.
He's trying to pull it all together there.
Yeah. He's trying to be mischievous.
And he's gonna go back on mute for the rest of the episode.
Yeah, no, he's gonna. Notice he always goes missing when we have certain guests on.
Yeah, 5.3 is way too.
And here to talk more about it is. Never mind. Never mind.
How to destroy your microbes with pH down. Roar. No, we're not bitter about it at all. It's fine.
So, what do you run your systems at?
6.5 to 6.8 is what.
6.8.
Yeah. Sorry, I thought Steve answered you. 6.5 to 6.8. So if it drops below 6.5, then I add usually a lot of well water. I don't ever use pH up, just because my well water is so high already. I don't really need to. I could probably bottle it and sell it as pH up, and it would probably work just as good as some pH up. But then if I have a new system or I add too much water, I get above 6.8. Like let's say I do a water change, for instance, for some reason, I want to drain out a bunch of water. Like let's say it's gotten really hot for like a week straight. A lot of times I'll do a big water change to help bring the temperature down. But anymore, as long as I stay up on adding cold water a little bit every couple of days, I don't even really have to do that. So basically, if I want to bring it down, I'll usually bring it down only if it's above 6.9 or so, and I'll bring it down just a little bit. I like 6.5, 6.8.
Yeah, in all honesty, I usually do keep it around 6.4, 6.5, like Marty's saying. Because, I mean, it's a good range for nutrients to be able to get into the plant and be bioavailable, and the fish tolerate it really well, too.
Yeah.
I think it's, isn't that magnesium, Steve? That's like right on the if you drop it down under 7, you can uptake a lot better. I don't know if it's manganese or magnesium. I always get those two confused, but one of the two of them is
magnesium does a lot, and calcium does too. The plants will uptake much better.
Yeah.
But I mean, yeah, you can always look at the pH charts. I mean, there's 1,001 of them that show you that you really want to keep it between like 6.5 and 6.8. It's kind of your 6.6 being the perfect. If you can hold it there, perfectly, that's really what you're aiming at.
Cool. That's good to know.
Gives you the most range of nutrient availability with the most amount of options to move it up or down.
Yeah. What type of fish do y'all use? We use tilapia. I don't know if I mentioned that.
So, I almost always suggest koi for people with cannabis grows. They're just more bulletproof than anything else. But I've used tilapia, catfish, Oscars, perch, bass, bluegill, Arapaima, Pacu, all kinds of shit.
Dude, you're like the guy in Forgetting Sarah Marshall that names all the kind of fish.
Well, I mean, I used to work in the research and all this shit, and when we had when I
We're
used
getting
to
started on shrimp.
we used to do a yeah, I can go on a long time about invertebrates. When I worked at the aquaponics source, we had a R&D greenhouse, and we literally would just take any orphan large fish from Craigslist and dump it in there. We had probably 3 or 4 red-tailed catfish, shovel-nosed catfish, all kinds of plecos from Craigslist. A whole bunch of we had a tiger a red-tailed tiger hybrid. We had just all kind a couple Pyara, Anira Paima. That I don't even know how someone got that legally into Colorado. Like just all kinds of crazy large tropical fish that we just kept throwing in there. We had a 2,500 gallon tank that was in the floor of that thing. So it was like, well, we have like infinite space down there, and then eventually the bigger ones just pick off the little ones, and whatever. The nitrates stay the same,
Cycle of life.
right? But that was just an R&D greenhouse that I just needed the nitrogen to stay a certain range, and that was fine. And anything that ate roaches was doing good.
Yeah, just if you're going to be doing koi, just make sure to watch for any temperature swings, even if it's like consistent day to day. If there's a large enough swing at night, that will jack up your koi fish. Like I lost a bunch of mine a couple months ago because we had heat wave, and then it would drop back down to like 50s or 60 at night, but it'd be like almost a little over 100 during the day, and that was enough to just wreck the koi. The tilapia and the plecos did fine, but the koi not so much.
Really, my plecos, like anytime I put them outside and they get a temperature range, they always seem to die, like even before the goldfish. So that's weird. I don't know, maybe Donald Trump just killed them and I wasn't paying attention, but I don't know. By the way, I have a fish named Donald Trump. I don't know if you know or not.
No, I didn't know that. No.
Yeah.
I mean, we talked about that a few times. So, yeah, he has a big orange spot right here on his head. And if you put any fish in the tank with him that doesn't look like him, he will just smash it up against the side of the wall until it's dead. If you put another, like a koi or another goldfish in there, he's cool, no problem. If you put a goldfish in there that has like the big eyes on them, you know what I'm talking about? The great, very big ones and big tails. No, yeah. They look too different. He pops their eyes, smashes them up. Like
one racist fish.
Of them in there, and he killed all of them in less than a week.
So if they look too Mexican or too Muslim, they're done.
Yeah, no head wraps. He's anti-head wrap.
No bandanas.
I want to see a picture of your fish. That's so awesome.
Yeah, he's like mostly white. He's got a little bit of orange on his back. And then like right here on the front of his face, like right here, there's just a big orange spot.
Doesn't he have a wife that won't sleep in the same room as him?
Probably. That's probably why he's so pissed. He tried to touch your hand. That was it.
Did you grab him by his leg layer?
So that's Donald Trump. He's getting to be a pretty big koi too. And so yeah, I'm not sure what I'm gonna right now. He just hangs out with his own kind. I guess that's pretty much the only option, or kill him. That's pretty much it.
Try not to destroy the other side of the fish tank.
Right. So, but I also have catfish. I have a channel catfish that survived the winter as kind of like my guinea pig. The rest of them either got eaten before winter, but I left one in there all the way over winter. Like the top froze over like this thick, and it's only like maybe 160 gallons or so. It's not like a huge tank or anything, and no problem.
So to address your Donald Trump fish, if you have a fish like this, there's actually ways you can adjust the fish's attitude. I used to work in the pet trade quite a bit, and we'd regularly have ultra aggressive fish that would murder anything or attempt to murder anything that you'd put in the tank. So there's ways that you can do that. So you can haze the shit out of them, and that generally works pretty good. You can take the fish, grab them in the fish tank, pin them up against the glass, and kind of just gently shake them, and then let them go, pin them against the glass again, let them go, pin them against the glass, and basically just be an asshole to the fish. Do that once or twice a day. Be careful. You don't really want to try and get the slime coat off the fish. But you can also take them out of your out of the fish tank, throw them in a bucket, put an air stone in there, just so so the guy doesn't die. And then every time you walk by it, kick the bucket, bang on the side, put a stick in there, chase him around, just make his life miserable for a week, or a couple days, and then put him back in the tank. And 9 times out of 10 it allowed to adjust them. Now, there's a few fish that doesn't work, like lionfish doesn't work. Moray eels will never attitude adjust. They will just keep biting the shit out of you, and I got the scars to prove it. So there's a handful of fish that just will not follow that rule. And every once in a while you get a stubborn asshole fish, but for the most part you can attitude adjust most fish.
The Donald Trump fish sounds like he might be a pain in the ass.
So he's due for
I might have to try it now just to see if it works.
Yeah, Potent Ponico Bay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Ponico Bay.
The fish whisperer.
Bay.
I'm just gonna put him in a tank and then give my son a drumstick and just let him go to town for like 10 minutes.
Yeah, put a lid on top and.
Again, any PETA complaints, make sure you send them to steve@potentponics.com.
He deserves it tonight. Yeah, potentponics@gmail.com. Yes, all complaints.
Yep, those will get right to me.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's Donald Trump. Yeah, but that's the fish I have, and then I have that catfish that's the survivor, that's still in the system out back. But I ran I think about a dozen catfish last year. So channel cats are almost as easy as koi, I would say. The only caveat with that is that if you let the water temperature get too high, they'll try to breed, and after they breed and the eggs are laid, they basically fight, like pretty much nonstop to the death. They will kill each other, like beat the hell out of each other. Basically, after the female lays the egg, they have to like protect it from the other fish, I guess. Yeah. So, or also try to eat it. And so I had a number of them get a bunch of scars all over them and stuff like that. But as soon as I dropped the water temperature down, I reached out to my buddy who runs an aquaponics farm here in Ashland, and he was like, "Oh yeah," because I took pictures of it. I had no idea what it was. I really don't know that much about fish. So he was like, "Oh yeah, your water temperature must have gone up." And I looked around down in the bottom, and I actually found 2 sacks of eggs down in the bottom that I pulled out. And things got a lot better after we cooled the temperature down and removed the eggs out of there. I didn't have any more WWE going on in my fish tank.
No more fighting in Sparta?
Yeah. So that's my only caveat about catfish is that if you do go with channel cats, then just make sure your temperature doesn't get too high, or you at least have a place for them to sort of like take cover. Because in my small tank, there was just really no place, nothing they could do except for fight over them all the time. There's no real like cover or anything in there. So if your water temperature is going to get up, you either need to provide them a big tank with lots of cover, or just keep that temperature down so that you don't have to be fishing eggs out all the time and deal with fish that have scars.
Interesting. What do you think about that, Steve?
What was that?
Exactly.
No, I heard the catfish part. One thing I wanted to add to his. No, I'm sorry. I had to run and use the restroom real quick. That's all. I apologize.
No worries, man.
The one thing I wanted to add to what Marty was saying, because I heard 2/3 of that, was catfish. The other thing you got to watch with is if you quick temperature swing, they'll break out into ick really easy. The other thing is catfish are much more susceptible to bacterial diseases, so it's much more important that you quarantine any fish before they go in with catfish, because if they happen to have even a barely visible bacterial infection, they can very quickly wipe out your catfish because they're much more susceptible because they don't have scales. The other thing I would also say is that if you're dosing with any medications, say you do get a bacterial infection or something like that, and you go ahead and you disconnect your system, valve off your fish tank and treat your fish, or move your fish to a quarantine system, which depending on what you're doing and the size of the scale you're doing, catfish, you have to dose half the rate because catfish, again, because they're scaleless, will absorb medications at over double the rate as far as their blood level. So you always need to half dose your medications with catfish specifically. That also applies to eels, loaches, sharks, and rays, because you don't deal with those others that much in aquaponics, but occasionally you do.
So basically, any aquatic animal that you're going to be giving antibiotics to that doesn't have scales, this rule applies.
Okay.
Yep.
Right.
Cool. I want to do Sharkponics now. That sounds awesome.
I really want to do I am dying, and hopefully when we get this dispensary up that I'm working on right now, that I'll have more information as soon as, I think it'll be next week. I think we're going to have everything done for tomorrow. You might even see an announcement over the weekend up online. Man, if this show is tomorrow, I could probably do the announcement for it, but next week we'll probably do it if not. But I really want to do a stingray display tank in the showroom and do freshwater stingrays, like really nice freshwater stingrays. I've been dying to do it because sharks and rays put out raw urea, and when you have raw urea in a aquaponic environment, it works its way pretty quickly up to being plant usable. So
That's interesting.
yeah, they don't put out pneumonia. They put out urea and like more of a human or mammal type
Also,
waste.
it's metamorphic. Oh.
Yeah, so it's not ammonia. It's much different. So I'm real curious to do an experiment on a system with like, low nutrient system. Maybe not even cannabis, just for fun as a display.
You're from California. You can probably grow some kale.
It's a hell of a lot of kale in Cali.
Yeah, I don't know. I can't do it.
In fact, actually, you want to see some cool ones? Go on my YouTube. There's oh yeah, don't let me forget about the YouTube apocalypse that's going on before the end of the show too. But we have the cool at Ouroboros Farms. I did a video. He has 2 kale that are 3 or 4 years old, and they look like Dr. Seuss trees. They're about 8 feet tall, and they're all bare stalks with little kale at the top.
Oh yeah, cool.
So that's pretty dope.
Yeah, I saw that when you posted it a while ago. It was pretty cool.
Yeah, we'll talk about the change in YouTube things here in a minute. Is there anything else you wanted to touch on, Joe? You've been an amazing guest so far. Is there any other topics you guys wanted to touch on? Do you have any questions for us? I mean, it was kind of cool having you ask us some questions that we can help you out on. Is there anything else that
what kind of things do y'all think that research-wise should be looked at? Y'all have any research ideas? Just because we're always.
Well, we talked about the silica test and silica.
Silica, I would love to see lactobacillus, and then later on, love to see some collegiate level studies on some of the stuff that you and I talked about, off air.
Yeah.
That I don't really want to get into on air. And some of the other interesting stuff that we're doing as far as increasing production in organic, cheap ways, and some of the organic isolated plant proteins that we figured out how to do. So
yeah. The cool thing about aquaponics is it's so new, right? So there's all these doors open that we can keep on experiencing and learning from, and yeah, I don't really have anything else except for if there is anybody interested in aquaponics or aquaculture. Like I said, even if you don't go through K-State or Kentucky State University, just keep on finding out research out there and talking to people, because aquaponics is the shit.
Agreed.
I'll definitely be looking into that. That's very awesome that they have that course and all that stuff online.
For sure.
Yeah. Well, thanks again for having me, y'all. It was nice meeting you, everybody.
Was there anything else you wanted to get into your university? Was there anything else you wanted to say? I know you talked about your classes. Was there anything else about Kentucky? I can't get that out of my mouth. Kentucky State that you wanted to tell us about?
We had a question from Chad actually. when you're done that question.
Not necessarily. I think I kind of touched on a lot about it. Yeah.
I wanted to make sure you got a chance since you'd brought it up earlier. So what's in chat, Steve?
Oh, sure. So Scuba Steve asks, put a reverse saline repository viola. I don't know what that means.
Hello, Scuba Steve.
Level of mercury in fish farms versus wild fish is the same in the same demographic. That's why he's here. I guess that was a question.
So I think he's suggesting that they study the difference in mercury levels in farm fish or fish raised in aquaculture versus wild fish. So
aquaponic fish versus
mercury.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not exactly sure, but I'd bet for sure there's already information kind of like that out there, in the aquaculture field, at least looking at mercury. Maybe not so much in aquaponics, but,
right.
It's obvious that in the ocean there are a lot more toxins and buildups in the fish than there are in, properly ran aquaculture systems. Just by what the fish are eating, they're consuming all these small micro, whether it's algae or plastic or whatever that builds up and bioaccumulates inside them, these toxins. If they're present in the environment, they'll be present in the fish.
You could probably find out more information on that from researching fish farms, like farming fish, where they start, like they're doing now, like basically what where their entire thing is they're farm raised cat, like they do farm raised catfish right down the road. They do farm raised tilapia right down the road. That's where you could get that information by checking out what their mercury levels are, as opposed to something that, like the catfish in the river right here. That would answer. I think that's what you're saying the question was. And we got the catfish in the lake and the rivers and everything. So I might be able to find something out about that here locally.
Yeah, I would recommend, like he was saying, look into aquaculture stuff as opposed to aquaponics, and you'll find a lot more information and stuff.
Yeah.
Really, you're looking at the same thing, obviously.
Yeah, Google Scholar that stuff for real. You really want research and backed evidence opposed to opinions.
Opposed to some fuckhead YouTubers.
Yeah.
I forget. Did you mention if you were studying in any way the microbial diversity that's naturally like building up in your system, like what's balancing out in certain ways based on your inputs? Like if you're noticing one species of bacteria is leveling off and another one's staying at a certain population or declining.
Not right now. No, the focus of this study is just comparing the growth and then like the yield in terms of like buds and CBD oil, and just the quality of it, and the potency of the CBD oils between the different strains and the different treatments.
And I forget, did you say you were doing any side-by-sides between like the same cuts of the same strain and seeing any?
They're not same. They're all the same strain, but they were all started from seed. So they're not like an e-clone started.
Okay. But are you doing anything to try and see like if there's an increase in terpene, or not necessarily terpene, but like CBD oil production compared to a soil plant in side-by-side or anything like that?
Yeah. So that's after the plants are harvested, we'll send them away to get analyzed for their CBD content, and then compare the results.
Nice.
And who's doing your cannabinoid testing?
They're still looking at that. I believe it's Green Remedy. That's one of the companies that we are working with for the hemp research. They're a CBD oil producer here, or processor here in Kentucky.
Sure. So I'm actually going to say some stuff here that I don't know if I've said on the show before, and I only really mentioned in my class. So I might have mentioned it on the show. Back in Colorado, I worked with my girlfriend at the time. Jamie, anyways, friend of mine, but we're just don't date anymore. We did I was trying to remember the strains: Blue Hash, Shirley Temple, and I can't remember what the third one was. And all of them, we ended up running Aquaponics and Dual Root Zone versus soil outside. Same clones, same moms, same genetics, same supplemental nutrient regimens as far as what they're being supplemented with. Obviously, the aquaponic one was scaled back, because the soil layer was shallower. And we showed across the board a 2 to 4% increase in CBD and up to a 18% increase in THCV compared to the controls.
Wow,
and
that's
the
awesome.
aquaponics, but we only ran the test twice, so it needs much larger data set and more research. But
Yeah.
it's
Good preliminary work at least.
yeah,
For sure.
yeah. And I was trying to control for as many variables as I could.
Damn, Steve, if only you had a larger place where you could try this out on a larger scale.
I'm working on it.
You should really check into that.
Well, I just wanted to tell him that that was some of the and then shit.
You could sell these little boxes for $2,000 a piece.
You guys are so mean. We're never gonna get a guest again. Everyone's gonna be like, we go on the show, and then like an episode later.
No, but that'd be a really
I play
cool
Fish
study.
Ganja.
You can do it from your phone.
Fish Ganja guy actually did a really cool side by side the other day with 2 different LED lighting companies and showed a flat out 2% increase, but just based on an LED light being different. So based on a full white light versus the multicolor LEDs. In fact, I'd love to put you in touch with the Spectrum King guys. Those guys are awesome.
Yeah, you said that was one of you all that did that, or was it?
Yeah, the side by side was Fish Ganja guy. Yeah.
Oh, well, that's awesome. What 2 brands did you use, if you don't mind me asking?
I use Spectrum King LED and Black Dog LED.
Oh, Black Dog. Oh, actually, I think I read your results. You posted them on the Cannabis or the Aquaponics page. Yeah, I read through those.
So I used, for the study, I had 2 different plants I was using for the comparison. One was Crystal Cookies #4. The other was Cross of the Titans, both cut off the same mom. Same room. I just had a panda film going down the middle to separate the light spectrums. So the only difference for everything.
What's the spectrum?
Everything else, they all got watered on the same day, same IPM, same foliar sprays, same fish tank, circulating the same water.
And you said the multicolored ones did better, or
the full spectrum light from Spectrum King, the bright white light. That one actually, I had better, not just vigor from the plants and yield, but I had 2% increase on each of those plants.
Really? That's interesting.
Well, I'll tell you, Joe, we've done 2 shows with Spectrum King, and you might want to look back in the Ponics catalog there and find them. The ones that said Spectrum King was the guest. The first one was back around 420, or right after 420, and the other one was 3 weeks ago when Fish posted the results of the side-by-side comparison, and they've definitely opened your eyes about the technology and what they're doing. It'll tell you can't get any more information than what you could get from those 2 webcasts that we did with Spectrum King. Brandon just
laid it all out.
Yeah, just laid it all out. Even the guy from Black Dog was phenomenal with the knowledge and science that we learned from him. It's just that we found his light wanting in the comparison situation.
Yeah.
But yeah, if you look back on those podcasts, like last week was Brandon, right? Was the second one, but Brandon and his partner did a show about back, like I said, 1 or 2 weeks after 420, I think.
It wasn't last week; it was the week before. But yeah. No. If both Black Dog had a really good informational episode, and we learned some stuff in there that I didn't know. And then Spectrum King has been really awesome guests every time we've had them. And they're friends of the show. That I'm sure we'll have them on again. Those guys are freaking awesome. I talk to them at least once a week. So.
And Joe, just so you know, if you look at the Spectrum King stuff, and it seems like something you like. Just remember, the stuff on their website isn't all they do. They're one of the only companies I've heard of that people from different facilities or greenhouses or research facilities will tell them what they want, and they'll custom do something to match the order for you.
Yeah,
that's what you need.
they did some spirulina lights for me the other day that they custom did just for spirulina light spectrum. So if you give them the crop or what you want, they'll actually dial the LED diodes in exactly for that. So
that's awesome.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Yeah, the lights we just got right now, we just replaced our old ones. They are both the brands were Lumitex, but our old ones were 3x2, and they were, they put out like a 3x3 footprint or whatnot. They had adjustable lights on.
Wattage?
They were 220 watt.
Okay.
So
that sounds about right.
They replaced about 400 watt, high pressure or metal halide.
Not really, because they have a smaller footprint.
Oh yeah, that's a good point.
It's the one downside when the lower wattage LEDs, you're cutting off footprint in order to save energy. So
yeah,
that's one of the things we noticed. Even with the almighty Spectrum Kings that we like so much, their Closet Kings only really do about a 44-inch space. It will do bigger than a 3x3, but
Well, is that the Closet Case 140 or the old Closet Case 100?
even the 140s are still 44, 46 inches. They're not the full 48. I mean, I love them to death. They do kick ass. No.
Yeah, they even say on the site it's good for a 3x3 is like their prime footprint for flowering.
Oh yeah.
Outside of that, it's going to be less than prime.
But what I'm saying is people sometimes will compare them to, say, a 600 watt HID, which can do a 4x4. Arguably nowhere near as good, but light coverage wise. Or even sometimes people will compare the Closet Case to, not 600, but the Closet Case often gets compared to a 315. A 315 can do a 4x4. I mean, it'll at least do the 44 inches. But that's right where the Closet Case is, so they're pretty damn similar. But in fact, we're gonna get Hortilux. I got Hortilux going to be a guest on the show, and we can talk. Yeah. So we got some of the upcoming guests. We got Bubble Man from Hash Church. She's going to be on the show with us. I gotta just reply back to him so we can set the date. And who else? We got Alan from Grow Kashi, and I forget. There's one other guest I told Marty today, and I can't remember who the hell it was. Maybe it was yesterday.
I don't remember either.
Anyways, yeah, but working on getting us some cooler guests on the show. So.
Yeah, and I don't know who it is either. Nobody consulted me.
Hey, I distinctly remember a private conversation where you volunteered to do all the bookings between you, me, and Marty. So I think it was 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, I didn't want all the responsibility, but I'd still like a voice in that.
Oh yeah, no. Well, send me people to come on the show, and I'll add them.
Yeah, I'll get right on that. It's top of my list.
Oh, shit. What's up, dummy?
Hey, what's up, guys?
Hello, friend.
A lot of stuff here.
Oh, we're just bullshitting now. We're here to see what's up with you. What's going on?
I did, before we totally switch gears, I did want to say thanks again for Joe for coming on, taking the time to spend with us. And I did put a link to the aquaculture division of of Kentucky State University. So if you guys are looking to find out more, absolutely click the link and check it out. And you can find the classes he mentioned and everything else on there.
Yeah, thanks again for having me. I'm actually probably about to get off here. It's beginning around midnight, so I can get up and hit the, crack of dawn in the morning.
All right, man.
Y'all have a good night, and thanks for having me.
Yep.
Thanks for all the info, Joe. We'll be in touch.
Thanks a lot.
It was a pleasure spending this time with you.
Yeah, thank you.
No
Keep
problem.
up the good work.
No, thanks again. I learned, probably more from you all than you did me. Thanks for that. It'll definitely help, I think, when developing their next studies and, just growing the hemp plants more, how they should be grown in aquaponics opposed to, doing deep water culture or other methods.
Well, definitely keep us up to date on everything. That's awesome.
Yeah, at least one of our ideas can get into college, even if none of us can, right?
Right?
And if you want a place,
Honorary degree, right?
if you want a place to come share some info and teach some aquaponics just on the side, we come to join ilovegrowingmarijuana.com. We got an aquaponics section you could post studies in or something like that if you wanted to.
Okay,
Even if
cool.
you're growing peppers, it don't matter.
Yeah, right. Well, we also have a gardening section if you wanted to
Or
do that.
Jamaican tomatoes.
Yeah, most of our stuff we grow is food production wise.
Right.
But yeah, thanks.
Yeah, it's
There's
more
a
about
spot
this.
for you.
You're always welcome to come back on the show as a panel member and update us or just shoot the shit with us, whatever, man. You've been an awesome guest. Thank you.
Oh, no problem. Thanks. And I'll probably be contacting you still, Steve, a little bit, and
Sure.
talking some things out with you. But y'all have a good night.
You too. Thank you.
Thanks for
Thank
coming.
you,
Take care, bud.
What's new with you, Aquaponics Dummy? Haven't seen you in a minute.
Not much, man. Same stuff, different day. Speaking of college, I actually I'm just now matriculating at University of Maine, so I'm pretty excited about that.
Nice.
Awesome.
Going to weed college?
No, we environmental science though. So I don't know. I think I'm gonna revise what I'm actually getting a degree in, but exciting stuff for me anyway as an old man.
That's cool, man. Congratulations.
Awesome.
Never too old, brother.
I did have one guest update. Brain Grow has been off doing some kind of work training thing. He will be back. Nothing happened to him. He's doing great. He just won't be around for another couple weeks.
He's on hiatus.
Yeah, so might be another week or two before he's back, but he is doing well. So
Cool.
all right, I had a couple of topics I wanted to throw out there before we get into what everyone's been doing. I got a couple bones to pick.
There we go.
First off, fuck YouTube for all the bullshit they've caused me this week. YouTube has been instantly auto-flagging any video I put up now. It has something to do with the tagging system, best I can tell by trying to make videos and then trying to like break it. It's tagging cannabis or marijuana, or I'm not really sure exactly which term, but basically a tag that's in most of my videos. I think I only have 5 or 6 videos that are left monetized on my channel now. But basically they're now flagging blanketly most cannabis media content people if you have it in the name of the video or listed as a tag. So that's fucking annoying as shit.
I'll let you know how it works out with me. I haven't made any videos in the last couple of weeks, but I'll find out, I'm sure.
Yeah, it's...
Are you sure you weren't just being singled out, Steve?
No, because Marty and I did a video the other day, and the moment the live stream ended, it was automatically flagged, like instantly, and it was only a 5-minute video.
And uploaded it to my channel, and it's monetized on mine right now.
Right, but I'm real curious to see what your tags are.
I copy and paste exactly what you do. I'm lazy as fuck.
So you know how to pull apart the website, or you just log in and copy it.
No, Marty, that's not lazy. That's smart. That's streamlining the process. That's efficiency.
I'm hacking that bitch. No.
There's a way you can right-click and do inspect element, and then you can actually copy and paste the tags. There is a way to do that.
No, I don't take the tags. I just take your description. So
okay.
It's only auto-tagging whatever's in your description.
Oh, okay. So the tags I'm talking about, at the bottom you put in the manual tags, and that's what lists it for Google indexing.
Right. So in their algorithm, though, it automatically takes all the words in your description and your title and tags them already, just like you put them in the box down there.
Oh,
so
really?
Whatever you're putting in, if it's auto-tagging yours, it would be one of the ones along the bottom, because I don't do any tags.
I wonder if it's the Aquaponic Cannabis class being near the top. Wonder if it's that. I don't know. I'll have to look into it. But something in the videos is instantly auto-flagging No, you know it can't be that because it flagged on like my compost tea video that has nothing. There's no cannabis in there at all, but it has cannabis and marijuana as a tag in the tag at the bottom. So it's something to do with the tagging system, where it's blocking it for ad things. So it's just been disheartening because we put a lot of effort into this, and while Marty and I probably make $60 to $80 a year off of the YouTube monetization, if that, and you have to get $100 before you can pull it out. So it's like every year and a half we're able to pull out like beer money. And we can't even get that now, which sucks. And it's not a big deal. We'll still keep doing the show. We do this for the love of it and for how much we have fun doing it. But it's just annoying. Like we can't even make like beer money off of something we love. So
yeah, I still haven't even got to $100 on mine, so I've never made anything from doing it. So technically, nothing's changed.
So I wanted to touch on the other really awesome story I wanted to touch on, and this has got to be the most bonkers cannabis story that we've covered on the show in terms of the news show. So this comes from the voiceofsandiego.org. Pot entrepreneurs want babies of Lemon Grove and La Mesa to pack their bags. So we covered this story on Last Week in Cannabis, the news show. And this story was so fucking ridiculous, I just had to cover it again. So as pot entrepreneurs scoop up real estate in cities with clear regulations allowing dispensaries, they're running up against rules about how far they must be from places like daycare centers and schools. Some are approaching daycares with offers of cash or offers to buy out their company so they can shut it down, or deals to move or shut down completely. So you have dispensaries moving into neighborhoods and then offering just to buy out completely and move, or shut down or close out daycare centers. Wow. Because of the ridiculous zoning shit going on in some of the cities in California.
Well, I mean, I don't understand why this is news, I guess.
Well, this is the problem. Okay, so this is why it's a problem, because it sounds reasonable on the surface, right? You can't have a thing from 1,000 feet of a daycare center. This is why it's not reasonable. Anyone can declare a private daycare center being like a mom that watches other people's kids, and then register with the state as a private daycare center, and they aren't officially registered on the registry for the dispensaries to search on. So there's dispensaries being denied permits and then having to like hunt down these owners because they're not listed as a daycare center in terms of zoning publicly, because these private ones are kept private in order to protect the children and protect things from child predators. So they're directly butting up against this child protections law, which makes a lot of sense, but totally throws a wrench in these dispensaries. There needs to be a private dispensary registry where maybe only applicants going for a dispensary application can view it, or something like that, or do it through a county clerk where only the county clerk can see it. There's got to be a solution to this, but the fact that that's what these people are running up to, and then that's the reason why they're having to go and offer it is just crazy to me. Like, this is
I mean, I guess nuts. Like the regulations I don't agree with. Like, I don't understand how it's news that they're trying to do that. I mean, this happens all the time. Like, people buy out people to get their property, or do something different with the business next door, or like.
Well, the thing that's crazy is why
business. Like, why the fuck does this? Like, how is that shocking to you that they would do that? Like,
no. It's shocking to me that they're allowed to do it with these stealth daycare centers that aren't publicly listed. That's what's wrong.
Right. No, I get that, but I mean, like, if you do the way the article reads and the thing reads, it's like they're trying to force them out. Like, it's a bad thing. Like, odds are these people are making bank and opening up their business somewhere else, but really probably doesn't matter to them. So, yeah. And the same thing happens all the time with other businesses. That's the part that I think is like if somebody wants to do a big development and they want to buy out grandma's house so that they can build a shopping mall, they go offer her a bunch of money so that she can buy a house somewhere else and move. This is like regular business shit. So why is it being demonized just because it's cannabis? Like, that's the part that's fucked up to me.
Probably because it has to do with childcare and single moms that have trouble getting child care.
Yeah, we definitely
but-
shouldn't give them any money.
Even then, they have to allow full opportunity. The problem is that we're not protected by the Constitution.
Those single moms probably smoke weed too. Shit.
Yeah, single moms smoke weed.
Absolutely.
That's true.
Everybody does.
Yeah, so I just
it
think
says,
that it doesn't make any sense. Yeah.
so it
Go
says
ahead.
a few of these folks have worked with the dispensaries and accepted offers, and businesses have disappeared. We'll then get a document from these daycares saying that they're no longer in business. That's happened a few times when a new dispensary opens. So,
Well, what do you expect them to do? Just be like, oh, well, you know, these hundreds of thousands of dollars we invested in opening a dispensary, we'll just piss it all away because there's a daycare center down the road. You know,
Well,
like what do you expect a reasonable person to do in that situation? And
right.
these people accepted the deal. It's not like it's forced upon them. They're not sending over, like, maybe if they are doing that, if they're strong arming them, then that's a deal. But if you're just offering them money and they're accepting it, what's wrong with that? Like, you know, you talk about single mothers or whatever, you know, like they're getting money. Like they'll probably even, if you're talking about the single mothers that go to the daycare, they're probably going to get a better daycare center because they got so much money from the pot growers. Like, who's losing in this situation? You know what I'm saying? Like, where
they might have moved them a mile down the street, but they got 10 times the building and a brand new, beautiful facility for the kids.
Right, and they're going to offer them bank, right? I mean, why wouldn't you? If you are hundreds of thousands of dollars invested in opening your own dispensary, only to find out there's a stealth daycare grow 2 blocks away, I mean, that's going to be your natural reaction, is to be like, hey, you know, let's open you up somewhere else. You know what I mean? And I think a lot of cannabis growers would be perfectly fine with that. And since it says in the article, it says they accepted
upgrades. Yep.
Yeah, accepted, not forced upon. You know what I mean? I don't see you know, a weed mob going over there to enforce it. So
What was it? A week or two ago, we were talking about the dispensary that was giving out free weed to people that were bringing them a full trash bag of waste from the side of the road. So
yeah, it's Portland.
Look at these awful stoners cleaning up their neighborhood. You don't want to set an example for the kids.
I wonder how that all worked out.
Worked out just fine. It was in Maine, I thought.
They do it in Portland consistently.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
How cool.
Yeah, I'll have to look up what dispensary.
Reading about that actually.
Well, Dummy, so what we've been talking, you hadn't been around when we talked about it, but there's been some controversial stuff going on in Maine's cannabis laws, hadn't there, that you might be able to enlighten us on a little bit?
Actually, I know very little because right now it's like they don't know what the hell's, nobody knows what the hell is going on.
Still that way, okay.
Yeah, Maine's still a clusterfuck.
Wow.
I mean, I can tell you what the laws are now.
Oh, fish ganja guy's got to run. Do you want to plug your channel real quick, bud?
Yeah, on Instagram, it's just Fish Ganja Guy. Same here on YouTube. I just put up a new episode the other day, just kind of a walkthrough of my system and a quick look at how all the plants are doing. I'm on day 33 of flower. So everybody's at that. We're all budded, but still skinny phase where you have a little anxiety on, God, I hope they don't keep looking like my Christian Bale from The Machinist and actually up a little bit. But yeah, it's going well, man. Other than that, thanks for having me on again as always, guys, and I will see you soon.
Take care, bud.
See you later.
Good chatting, buddy. Good night.
All right. Sorry to cut you off there, Dummy.
Honestly, I'm kind of high right now, so I don't know what I was talking about. I got the munchies like a motherfucker. I'm mowing down on a Pop-Tart.
Sounds delicious.
It really does.
Pop-Tarts on fine china.
I will say, how many viewers we got?
We got 9 viewers right now.
I have some alpha chemicals, potassium sulfate to give away tonight.
Awesome.
Organic sulfate of potash.
Awesome. So the first person that emails Potent Ponics with their information and their address gets it, because the last couple people we've had, they email us and they never send us their address. So the first person that email, actually here, I'll give them your email. You want to give them an email to reach out to, or you want me to forward it on to you?
Sure. Aquaponicdummy@gmail, I think. Hold on here. Let me confirm that, because I don't even know. Oh, it's Aquaponics Cannabis@gmail.com.
So it's Aquaponics with an S,
Yes.
Cannabis
Yep.
at gmail.com. So
Right.
email Aquaponics Cannabis at gmail.com. First person that emails him a name and address will get
Alpha
Organic
chemical,
products.
5 pounds.
Yep, and we're only asking that because the last couple people just did not ever send us any info. So
It'll be the first,
That'll-
the first person that sends me their info.
it doesn't have to be a real name. You can use a shipping name. That's fine.
Or
I
you
just email you. It's mine.
Yeah.
it's 5 pounds of alpha chemicals.
Well, we'll write on the thing that guy who grows weed.
Nice.
Yeah, that'll
You
work.
can do that to me. Everybody knows. Fine.
Speaking of which, did you want to re-give that other thing away too?
If you want to. Yeah, the second
Well,
person who emails.
Yeah,
Done. We had different prizes depending on which spot in queue you are.
And, well, it was
Make it easy.
a kit for your resin there.
Marty had to bounce. Marty's
Bye, Marty.
YouTube channel is AP Meds. He also has a Patreon over at AP Meds, and him and I will be doing a class up here on the 19th and 20th of August. So be sure to check it out if that's something you're interested in.
What was that other prize last time?
Oh, that was the last prize that nobody ever collected was the Rosnier Toolkit. It's $49 value, and it's a great little kit. So whoever's the second email that I received with I just need a name and an address, and tell me say something, give me something.
So I watched it on Growing with Fishes. Or some
Yeah, that'll work. Yep.
I want to win the prize. So, well, I want to win the kit, or I want to win the tap toolkit. Yeah.
Show me the money, or I don't know, something.
Well, if nobody
Send
emails,
No, just kidding.
if nobody emails you, dummy, you can send a kit to me.
Yeah,
It's funny that you say that. I half expected Marty to say something tonight about it.
be sure to send nudes and send them to apmeds@gmail.com. Attention, Marty.
Yeah. Well,
I wish I could get to my email.
So I missed the first half of the show. Was there anything good with who's that, Joe?
Yeah, it was pretty cool. I guess they're just getting started doing aquaponic hemp research down at Kentucky State University, so that was really cool.
Nice.
Just got talking about the setup, and right now they're just doing a base DWC, no added nutrients versus soil.
Nice.
So they're just adding potassium hydroxide and calcium carbonate, I think he said it was.
Yeah. Because we and
And
they've done
DTPI.
vegetables for a while, but they're just now getting into the hemp.
Yep.
So, he's got several different kind of systems. He's got some ebb and flow systems and some pseudo deep water culture systems, and he didn't have any kind of organic bedding at all, did he? He didn't. I don't think he said they had any of that going on at this point. They had some raft growing. They were actually doing some experimental growing with the floating rafts, like I talked to you about before. You know how we do the lettuce and the deep water culture down here in the greenhouse.
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so he's done some of that. It's pretty cool. And they got an online aquaculture course that you can take.
Awesome.
Really?
Yeah, that he was saying. He was talking about that, and I said I'm going to sign up. I said, hell, get aquaculture, a certificate, whatever it is, from aquaculture, to add to your credentials. So when you want to go out and build somebody, a greenhouse or something, it won't be bad to have that piece of paper in your pocket.
Is it a credit course or just a certificate or something?
It sounded like, well, he said online. Well, they got some accredited. He said you could go to the
Kentucky State. No, all the
Kentucky
classes
State?
at Kentucky State University are accredited. Yes.
And it said the online, or he said you can do. They got an online program.
Yep.
And it sounded pretty freaking cool. So either way, whatever you got, but it sounded extensive. Sounded pretty cool. So we were happy to get all that info from Joe, and he was happy to get some information from the guys here on the panel, which is really cool. We see that people. Well, it sounds like he's going for his doctorate because he said something about his thesis. So he's in that postgraduate kind of situation. That's what I got out of it. That he's in postgraduate studies at Kentucky State, and he gets to run the aquaponic lab. Sounds like pretty much.
Yep.
So it was pretty cool. It's like he goes, I love it because he doesn't have a million people going in there screwing it up. It's a small staff, and it's a really close knit, and they keep it. It's pretty cool. Sounds really cool.
So what's going on new with your grow aquaponics, dummy?
Well, about 3 weeks ago now, I had some issues with the garden. It went pretty far downhill. I actually lost. Honestly, I don't even count. It was pretty upsetting. I lost probably 2 or 3 dozen trout. Other than that, it's at this point it's bouncing back. Flower room's up and running. Veg room's up and running. I got a bunch of plants all going. I had to clone a bunch of new ones, and it's all ILGM's genetics at this point. I figured out all the old genetics that I had. So, and they look good. I mean, as far as what they are, but it's it's recovering. Because I had a bunch of plants and they all kind of get ruined. But I'm getting there. It's looking better every day.
Awesome.
Good.
Next spring.
Well, the key is the flower room's going. That means you got stuff in flowers, so don't even matter.
I have a bunch. I always have a bunch of flower. I mean, in Maine here, you can have up to 8 pounds curing. So I had a bunch, and I leave it in cure until I actually, use it, And so I had a bunch, and so I wasn't worried about running out. I still got a bunch now.
Well, we're glad you got a bunch, man. So you ever get rid of that ghost on your roof?
Oh, yeah, that was, turns out my neighbor, 2 buildings down, I live downtown, right? So it's all commercial buildings and all the buildings are connected. And 2 buildings over, a fellow was going out of his window and drinking on the bar, which is my neighbor. And he would use the ladder that I have up there and go up on my roof also and drink. And that's what it is. Somebody's up on my damn roof walking around and scaring the piss out of my renter on the 2nd floor.
What the fuck?
But you just have to do a damn thing about it either.
Yeah, so that'll mess with you when you hear people walking on your roof in the middle of the night.
Yep. And this whole time, I had another buddy of mine that was staying in the apartment upstairs, and now I have this female that's renting, and she's like, I can smell cat piss. And I'm like, you serious? And so I go out, I don't smell it. I've never been able to smell it. But we finally figured it out. He's taking a piss up on the roof. And this is, these are really old buildings. It's not like it's leaking in or anything, but that's what she's smelling this whole time is him taking a piss on the roof.
That's crazy.
Wow.
Well, I had to remove the ladder. I want to put a camera system up there and some do not trespass signs to try to
electrify the ladder.
Yeah. Well, it's made out of 2x4s.
Oh.
This is an old town, man. This is an old army town. Yeah.
Even more surprising then.
Yeah.
Spray it with a metal-based paint.
Yeah.
I got some tips for you.
Apparently, dummies, aquaponic dummies emails not working for everybody. Email Potent Ponics, your info, potentponics@gmail.com. Same channel you're probably listening to this to. and I'll get you your. I'll forward the first two over to him. I have his contact info. Don't worry about it.
All right. Hey, well, so what happened with the Resinier deal? Resin, whatever that you were working on.
That's gonna be the second email.
Resinier, okay.
Oh, hey, that's another thing coming up. I guess they're coming out with a professional line now. What I have now, they have 4 versions out right now. And this wasn't something like they didn't give this to me for free. You know, the Rosinier was paid full price for it, so it's not like I was getting anything for doing it.
We're losing you.
Oh, my bad. Sorry. This
Oh well, wait a minute. You got one from Robert. Got you one, and then you were trying to get one from the company.
Right. Well, no. Okay. So this is what's happened. I made a review online, and Rosinier saw that and liked my review, and they contacted me and said that they're coming out with a new professional series and would like me to run some more reviews of their products. And so I'm hoping, if everything works out right, I should be getting, which I will be getting for free. But I only push products that I really believe in. Now the reason why I like Rosinier is because it's very cheap, and you don't have to be a pro to you don't have to have a lot of DIY skills in order to use it. You get it, you plug it in, and it works for a very cheap price. And I actually there was a little bit of issues with it. I was trying to help a female out, and she was like 90 pounds. She was on one of the forums that I'm in, and she couldn't figure it out. So it turns out she was like 90 pounds, and she bought the manual, the MV1. She literally could not press the thing down, and her boyfriend was probably another 10 pounds on her, probably 130 pounds, and they just couldn't move it. They weren't getting anything out of it. So I told her that probably the pneumatic version would probably be a better version if she wants to stick with the Rosinier, at least for her anyway. But I'm hoping in the next couple of months I'll be getting these new pneumatic ones, and the used stuff that I have, I will be giving that stuff away also. So it will be used. My personal rosin press I'll give away. But it's
spoken for.
Yeah. It's one of those things. Well, I'm going to keep using it. Don't get me wrong. I haven't smoked flower in a while now. I've been nothing but rosin since I've gotten it.
Yeah. You got to get that new one.
Yep. But it's supposed to be 3 tons and up, I believe, is what the new stuff is.
Wow.
Awesome.
That's pretty cool.
I'm sorry, man. I'm high as hell, and I got the munchies, so.
You're all good. Trying to. What else is new with you? Anything else? Anything else new you learned lately? If not, we'll move on to hog.
As far as in the garden here, not really much. I'm still building. It's all about construction for me. So.
Sure.
I need culvert. I'm trying to find culvert in this area. I mean, I actually found a place. Now I'm just waiting for somehow to transport it. I got to pay somebody to transport it here, but.
Sure.
Okay, I thought you had that wrapped up. So how far away is it?
It's about 45 minutes, I guess.
Well, okay.
So maybe an hour away, 45 to an hour.
Awesome. So we had a first guest. Dave looks like he won the first thing. We're still waiting on a winner. We had one person. Oh, I guess he left out the first guy. Left out the last part of his thing there. Scuba Steve, you did email me, but you did not include an address, so it doesn't work without an address.
Scuba Steve.
Okay, he just sent an address. All right, we got both our winners.
All right.
Scuba Steve and a guy named Dave.
Hold on here. Let me get.
I sent him to your Facebook, so you got him.
All right. I was looking at I'm saying, what the hell? I don't see it in here.
So, Awesome. What about you, Hogmaster? You got anything growing on?
Got a couple things growing. They're doing well. I probably got another week or two left on them, and I'll be very happy. I just finished a Gorilla Glue. You can find me at ilovegrowingmarijuana.com. I'm a mentor on there. Enjoy helping anybody that needs help, man.
Awesome.
Anything from concentrates to butters to growing, whatever you need grown. So have a really good time on there. There's a lot of really good people on there, and I just really enjoy it.
Awesome. What about you, Roger?
Oh, well, I've just been hanging out. I got my lawn tractor fixed, got all the farm mowed down, at least the front half of the farm mowed down today. Got cussed out by my neighbor because I mowed 5 feet into his yard to turn around in a spot. So he came out and cussed me out, said he was going to call the cops if I mowed his grass anymore. And then I got ready. The food got ready. I can say that one thing good, I just did some clones because I generally grow straight and natural, and I provide side lighting and stuff to get my girth, and it works just as well. But this time I wanted to have some fun because again, I'm a teacher, and I've done it before. Don't get me wrong, but I just got to where I like to do natural, to grow the plant as natural as possible, and I like the outcome. But practicing some of this deleafing or defoliation. There's a debate on what you really call it, and I don't go near as high as most people. I don't, or swazing or whatever. I don't do that. Swazing. I don't go to that length, but I take off unnecessary undergrowth, which turns into Dummy's favorite term, larf. I get rid of the larf, potential larf part of the plant, and then I do let some of the lower stems grow out. But I do my own kind of way of super cropping. I don't generally, when I grow straight up, I just super crop just the top, and I let the other. Then I get 8 big ass secondary colas. But this time I went ahead and pinched it. In fact, I broke my blueberry twice. I had to tie it together with some
duct tape and spit.
Well, no, Velcro. Like I have Velcro tape, so when I need something, I can just go wrap it around there and Velcro. So I just pulled it together and Velcroed it, and it seems to be doing fine. But I think I already broke off half of it a couple weeks ago. I transplanted last week, but during this topping process, I've always been kind of like, well, if I'm going to top, people just say I'll top it, and I go, I keep waiting for somebody to go, and then I rooted it, and I got a clone now. It's like, well, I top it and I throw it all away, and I'm going, well, why aren't you rooting it? So I rooted some tops, and the only one that failed was the pineapple haze because it got too woody, as we all know, or as expert growers know. You don't want to really try to clone woody plants. They'll clone eventually, maybe, but you don't want to give a lot of nutrients to your mothers, and you don't want a lot of nutrients and nitrogen making the plant woody. Anyway, but the blue, as you guys said, the Blue Dream clone was extremely rooted and vigorous already. The blueberry and the strawberry kush all cloned, so and they were all very simple, and it was very easy. I just stuck them in some Schultz rooting powder and into a rock wool cube, and set them in my little tray underneath my T5s, and in about 10 days to 2 weeks, I had nice roots coming out of the bottom of Rockwell. So there's 3 strains: the blueberry, the Blue Dream, and strawberry kush out of our seed bank at ilovegrowingmarijuana.com that you can definitely clone, and they're very easy to clone. Blue Dream's known for that, being a cash crop with a pretty damn good yielding plant, fast finishing, and as you guys said, Marty said one night, very easy to clone. It's like you want to grow a bunch of really good weed the first time you grow, get some Blue Dream, right, Steve?
I'm up to 13 strains from I Love Growing Marijuana, and I have not found one yet that has disappointed me.
Now, he's one of our best customers. I mean, I couldn't even believe what he said. Well, I've got 13. So he's ordered 5 different strains of seeds, 13 different strains of seeds from ILGM, which is really cool. And Hogmaster's also tried our CBD oil, and Maybe you want to, now that you've had it more than one day, you want to say anything? Your mom and dad are using that, aren't they?
Yeah,
Or,
absolutely. And about every 2-3 hours, they're taking 2 or 3 drops, and they're old man's off his Oxycontins and mom's off of her morphine. They're still taking it, but they're reduced down by half in the last month. So it's been working well for them.
and that's a 5% oil that we sell.
Correct.
Yeah. So that was really nice to hear that I was able to personally know someone and that tried out the new product. It's a new product that Robert put out, but that tried the new product and even has his parents using it. And they got to be in their 70s.
Yeah, and I actually had to use some the other day because I got pretty high and I had to sober up, and I took 4 drops and it sobered me up. So
There's a new one.
Shit works great.
You sober up. Take CBD oil to sober up. It really is a miracle drug, isn't it?
It works. I'm not kidding.
Yeah. I just wanted to ask because I hadn't heard much about that lately, and it's always nice to hear. You know, I talked to my parents about this stuff, and they're not in chronic pain or anything, or having to do a lot of pharmaceutical in it there. And there they sweat they'd never try it.
Yep.
So it's kind of cool to hear somebody's parents are trying it, So.
Well, actually, they watched the Phoenix Tears Rick Simpson story, and my mother's went through cancer and all that, and she's actually willing to try it. And I was shocked. It's like, this is something you're going to want to do right before you go to bed, because I'm glad she's willing to try it. I just don't want it to scare her. So we'll see how it works.
Well, that's good. That's an interesting story, though. I'm looking forward to seeing how all that works out in the long run. So I don't have anybody else.
Me too.
I don't know anybody else that's claimed to have bought it. I mean, I see it occasionally on the forum. So yeah, but then I ain't doing much. I'm just trying. I'm doing my little grow and doing my teaching, and we're still trying to get our network going. But it's been kind of on hold because there's been a lot going on here, a lot of things here on the farm, and well, you're on a farm, so things break, and when things break, you tend to not be able to really get on the computer and do concentration you need to do to it. I'm going to need about 3 days, about 12 to 16 hours a day to get the telephony network up with our live chat and everything that we've got. We got everything. I figured it all out, and we got everything ready to go, and a lot of good mentors to man the ship, and we're going to have some interesting categories, including a free veterans category where veterans will be able to talk with other veterans. We're going to provide that service for free. We are going to do some premium chat where, people in crisis and stuff be able to call up and get a mentor on the phone and get an answer right now, kind of a little pay per minute kind of thing, which is we had a lot of good feedback from all the research. And then we ran into some technical issues, and it was hard to get the right software solutions that allowed me to sync everything up, because you got to have the clients be able to come and get in touch with you. You got to have the clients be able to either pay or not pay, but then you got to have the clients be able to make an appointment, and then the email has to be put in there, and then the email has to be sent back to the mentors and the staff know that there's an appointment, and then you have to be able to keep track of how many times who's doing what and talking how long. Like if Dummy was manning the phones and a guy calls up, we decided to go with a subscription thing. But if Dummy's on the phone and somebody calls up, we got to know how long did Dummy talk to the guy. If the guy buys a 60-minute block, well, to a minute, originally we're just going to go by minutes of credit, but then I broke it down to where we're going to have, like, you can still get a quick, and there's a lot of information. I think you can get 10 minutes. We're still going to have a quick 10-minute thing you can buy up, pay PayPal, and you can talk to us live for 10 minutes. We're going to sell 30-minute and 60-minute appointments where you can make an appointment, and then you could buy a membership in it and do all like that. So you'll always have an expert on call if you want it. And I think from the feedback I got, the fees that we've tested aren't that dramatic, but that's about all I can go into it right now, except that I just busting at it trying to get it done, but I've had a lot of hard times the last month or so, and a lot of my staff has been, not always around, or even like my long lost partner. I won't mention any names, but I have a beloved long lost partner that's been going through some stuff, and he's really my rock to lean on, to kick back ideas and sound off with and get me motivated. We're going to get it back together, and we've got a bunch of stuff in place, and if that long lost partner's listening out there in the big world, we got money in the account from the affiliate account. There's money we've made sales. So you can buy our product, Flower Power Fertilizer, either in the BioLine Organic to amend your soil and soilless grows, or the Flower Power 100% water soluble nutrients at ilovegrowing-supplies.com, and look for Flower Power nutrients. I put everybody to sleep.
No, sorry. I just was reading an email one of the people sent me from one of the fans sent me. Awesome. Well, I think I'm gonna have hopefully next episode I'll have some announcements to make. I was hoping to have the stuff ready before the show. It didn't quite happen, so I guess it'll be tomorrow or next episode next week. Yeah, so definitely be sure to check out Ouroboros Farms. Be sure to check out everyone's YouTube channel. I think I got everyone that's on the show's YouTube in the regular link. Thanks a lot for Joe for coming on the show, and shout out to Ouroboros, ouroborosfarms.com if you're interested in taking any commercial or home aquaponic cannabis classes. I'm sorry, aquaponic classes, as well as aquaponic cannabis class, which is next weekend. The commercial classes this weekend starts tomorrow. If you happen to live in the San Francisco Bay Area. So, alrighty, we'll pick up next week, and thanks for everyone. I'm not sure which guest we're going to have on next week, but we will have a good one. So, alrighty, thanks a lot, everyone, and we'll catch you guys next week. Cheers.
See you Monday, last week in cannabis, Monday nights at 9:30 Eastern Standard Time.